All right, welcome. Today we are pulling back the curtain on something that is, honestly, the lifeblood of professional tennis, the WTA rankings. This is the system that literally dictates careers, it defines legacies, and it fuels this absolutely relentless year-long fight to be number one.
So you've probably wondered this, right? How does a player actually get to be world number one? Well, I'll tell you, it is so much more than just winning a bunch of matches. It's this super complex, strategic game of not just racking up points, but, and this is the big one, defending them. Think of it like a 52-week marathon where every single result matters. So yeah, let's get into it.
So, we're talking about the race to number one. And why does it matter so much? Simple. In tennis, your ranking is everything. It decides if you even get into the biggest tournaments, it decides your seeding in the draw, and yeah, it ultimately decides who gets a shot at making history.
Yep, a player's ranking is basically their passport to play on the world's biggest stages. And this system, it's been the gold standard since way back in November 1975. The wild part is, the computer that crunches all these numbers every single week has a nickname. They call it Medusa. So you can just imagine, Medusa is the one stamping that passport every Monday morning.
Okay, take a look at the top three right now. What jumps out at you? For me, it's the point gaps. I mean, look at the difference between Sabalenka, number one, and Swiatek at number two. That is a huge margin. We're talking over 1,600 points. That's not a gap you close in a week or two. So the big question is, how do they even get these thousands of points in the first place? Let's break it down.
All right, Section 2, the 52-week formula. And honestly, if you're going to understand one thing about the rankings, this is it. This is the engine that drives the whole system.
So here is the absolute key. A player's ranking isn't a running total of everything they've ever accomplished. It's not like a bank account that only goes up. Nope. It's a rolling collection of their best results from the last year. Think of it this way. Every Monday, the points you earned from that same week last year, they fall off. They're gone. And whatever you just did this past week gets added on. It's a constantly moving target.
So how many results make up this ranking? For singles players, it's 18. That's the magic number. It's their best 18 tournament results over that 52-week period. You can play 30 tournaments if you want, but only your top 18 scores are going to count.
And the other magic number? 52. Every single point you earn has an expiration date. It stays on your record for exactly 52 weeks to the day, and then poof, it vanishes. And you can see how this creates this insane, constant pressure to keep performing year in and year out.
Now, things are a little different when you compare singles and doubles. For singles, we've got the best 18 results. But here's the catch. That list has to include your results from the 4 Grand Slams and those big, mandatory WTA 1000 tournaments. You have no choice. For doubles, it's a bit more relaxed. It's just their best 12 results from pretty much any tournament they play. And that right there is a huge reason why the climb to number one in singles is just so much more structured and, frankly, way more demanding.
Okay, let's talk about the points pyramid. Because if you only get to count 18 tournaments, which ones should you be trying to win? Well, that's where this comes in. You're about to see that not all tournaments are created equal. Not by a long shot.
And boom, here is the hierarchy in black and white. Winning a Grand Slam, that's a massive 2,000 points. A WTA 1000, the next tier down, gets you 1,000, exactly half. Now, to really put this into perspective for you, you would have to win 8 separate WTA 250 tournaments to get the same number of points as winning just one Grand Slam. It's just incredible. This is exactly why the majors are and always will be the absolute pinnacle of tennis.
So, this is a quote straight from the WTA rulebook, and it is brutal. Basically, for the top players, the Grand Slams and those mandatory thousands are called commitment tournaments. And what that means is if you're healthy enough to play, but you decide to skip it, or maybe you do play, but you lose in the very first round, you get a big, fat 0, a 0-point result. And the worst part? That 0 still has to count as one of your 18 tournaments for the year. It takes up a precious slot. There's absolutely nowhere to hide.
Okay, but what happens when life intervenes? I mean, what if a player has a serious injury and can't compete for months? Or they're starting a family? Well, the tour actually has a really important system in place for that, and it's all about protecting a player's career when they have to step away.
It's called a special ranking. And what it does is it essentially freezes a player's ranking at the exact point they have to stop playing. So if you're number 15 in the world when you get injured, that's your frozen rank. It's a critical safety net. It means that when you're finally healthy and ready to come back, you're not starting from 0. You can actually get into tournaments again.
So how does this path back actually work? Well, a few things have to happen. First, you have to be out for at least 26 weeks straight. That's half a year. Then you have to apply with all the proper medical documents. Once that's approved and you're ready to return, you can use that frozen ranking to enter a set number of tournaments, and you get a 52-week window to use it. It's basically a structured on-ramp to get you back into the flow of the tour. But, and this is a big but, there are some really strict limits. As you can see, how many tournaments you get depends on how long you were out. It maxes out at 12 tournaments for an absence over a year. And you can only use that special ranking to get into 2 Grand Slams, max. So, while it's an amazing tool to get you back in the door, the pressure is on immediately to start earning new points because that safety net doesn't last forever.
And all of this brings us to our final section, the never-ending climb. Because this is maybe the toughest, most mentally draining part of the whole system. The fact that the climb, it just never, ever ends. Okay, this is the concept that I think trips up a lot of fans. The biggest challenge isn't just earning points, it's defending them. Remember that 52-week rolling system? Well, it means every single week, a player is haunted by the ghost of their results from the previous year. They have points dropping off their record. So to just stay in the same spot, to tread water, they have to match or beat what they did last year. It is a relentless pressure cooker that dictates their entire schedule.
This timeline right here shows you exactly how brutal defending points can be. So let's say in 2025, a player has an awesome year. They win a WTA 500 event, boom, 500 points. Then they make a Grand Slam final, another 1,300 points, fantastic. But fast forward exactly 52 weeks, in 2026, those 500 points just evaporate. Then they go back to that same Grand Slam. They still have a pretty good tournament. They make it to the round of 16, but that only gets them 240 points. So when you do the math, they are down over 1,000 points just from that one tournament. You are literally always running against the ghost of your own success.
And when you understand that whole defending points treadmill, these numbers just become mind-boggling. I mean, look at this. Steffi Graf at 377 weeks at number 1. Martina Navratilova, 332 weeks. Serena Williams, 319 weeks. That is not just being the best player for a month or a season. That is pure mastery of this relentless system. It's about defending massive points, managing your body, and just staying at that elite level week after week, year after year. It's just an unbelievable testament to their consistency.
So what does it really take to master this constant climb and stay at the top? Well, it's so much more than a killer forehand or a huge serve, isn't it? It takes incredible physical durability, it takes genius-level scheduling, and it takes the mental strength to constantly chase down the ghost of your own past successes. So the next time you're watching a match, I want you to remember that hidden opponent that every single player on court is facing, the points they have to defend from 52 weeks ago. Because handling that pressure, that is what separates the great players from the truly legendary ones.